Welcome to this English lesson about advanced weather vocabulary. Now you might be wondering, what is advanced weather vocabulary compared to normal weather vocabulary? Well, I would consider normal weather vocabulary to be phrases like, it's sunny, it's going to rain today, it's going to snow, there's going to be hail. But I would consider advanced weather vocabulary to be things like storm front, UV index, muggy, torrential rain, visibility. And if you're wondering why we're doing this lesson, it's because here in Ontario, Canada, it is very smoky outside, which you might not consider a weather event, but it is somewhat related to what we experience when we go outside. There are wildfires in northern Ontario, and I think in northern Minnesota, and it's causing a lot of smoke to come this way. So I thought I should do an English lesson about advanced weather vocabulary and talk about some of the words and phrases we use to talk about things like that and other weather as well. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about advanced weather vocabulary. Hazy. Dust, smoke, or moisture in the air, making it hard to see clearly. So this is a general term, and I should be specific. This is not fog, okay? So fog is when there's a lot of moisture in the air early in the morning. We would definitely call that fog. But if you look outside, and it's hard to see through the air because there's a lot of dust in the air, or there's a lot of moisture in the air, or smoke in the air, we say it is hazy. In this photo, you can see as you look further in the distance, it becomes hazier and harder to see. So haze is dust, smoke, or moisture in the air, making it hard to see clearly. Jen and I have a way to measure how hazy it is because we have large windmills on the horizon, and we know if we look a certain direction, there's 6 of them. But if we can only see 4, it's hazy. If we could only see 1, it's really hazy. Smoky. Smoke in the air, often from wildfires, which can reduce visibility and air quality. So this is actually what it looked like. I'm not sure if this picture's from that, but this is what the sky looked like on Tuesday. One of those very orange. It was kind of odd. It was the middle of the day. My solar panels were not producing any power at all, even though the sun was shining, because it just looked like this. It was very smoky. Now, if you're wondering why smoky doesn't have an E in it, there are 2 versions of it. I think if you're talking about Smokey the Bear, like a character, a proper name, it has an E. But if you're talking about this, where there's lots of smoke, you use smoky. So smoke in the air, often from wildfires, which can reduce visibility and air quality. So right now, it's not only, let's look outside again. It's not only smoky if you look in the distance on the horizon, but you would also say it's probably hazy. And then air quality is pretty low right now. In fact, Jen, who's been outside more than me, can feel it in her throat. She's starting to get a bit of a sore throat. Air quality, let's make this as big as possible. How clean or polluted the air is and whether it is healthy to breathe. So you can see here, Toronto Air Quality Health Index, orange warning for air quality. It is a 9, which is high risk. And this is for yesterday at 2 o'clock. So as I was making this lesson, the air quality yesterday was 9 out of 10. So it was high risk to be outside. When the air quality, which is how clean or polluted the air is and whether it is healthy to breathe, when the air quality is this high, they recommend that children don't go outside, people with breathing problems, old people, that they stay inside where the air quality is better, or that they wear an N95 mask in order to be able to breathe better. So air quality, how clean or polluted the air is and whether it is healthy to breathe. Downpour. So we're shifting through a number of different advanced weather words for different kinds of weather. So we just did smoky and hazy and air quality. We're going to move into things related to rain. So a downpour is a short period of very heavy rain. So you can get caught in a downpour. So when we talk about a downpour, It's a time in the day where it's not raining, and then suddenly it is raining, and then it stops raining. So you'll often hear people say this: there was a downpour while I was driving home from work. I had to put the windshield wipers on high. Or I forgot my umbrella, and as I was walking from work to go out to lunch, I got caught in a downpour. So basically a short period of very, very heavy rain. If we got a downpour right now, it would improve the air quality, because the downpour would remove the smoke from the air. Hopefully we do actually get a downpour. There's two nice things about rain during wildfires. One, it puts out the wildfires, and two, it makes the air quality better. Torrential rain, extremely heavy rain that can quickly cause flooding. Now, you might think that because Ontario, Canada, the province where I live, is in the middle of North America, and it's not in a tropical area, that we would not have torrential rain. But we do actually every once in a while. In fact, a couple of years ago in Toronto, they had so much rain that you can see the so I just call this the TTC. I'm trying to think of the proper name for it, but the TTC, or the light rail system, was underwater. It was halfway underwater, and you can see these police officers wading through the water. There's another word for you. When you wade, it's when you walk through water. So they are wading through the water, WADING, in order to go and see what's happening with the train. So torrential rain, extremely heavy rain that can quickly cause flooding. On the farm, we do not like torrential rain. We like long, soft rain. Like if it just rains a little bit for 12 hours, that's the kind of rain that we prefer. Scattered showers. So if you look at this weather map, you can see, that's a little too big. Short periods of rain that happen in some places, but not everywhere. So if you know how to read weather radar, when you see the red and the purple, that's very heavy rain. And the green is light rain, and the gray is probably just overcast and not raining, or it's maybe just spitting a little bit, or it's a little bit of a sprinkle. So scattered showers would be a day like this, where it might rain for a bit and then stop. There might be a downpour and then the sun comes out and then it rains again. So scattered showers, short periods of rain that happen in some places, but not everywhere. These are this must be American. Because look at those temperatures. This is definitely an American map. Oh, and you can see in the forecast, scattered showers, storms possible in the evenings. And it looks like I cut off the next word there. So scattered showers, short periods of rain that happen in some places, but not everywhere. Severe thunderstorm. So a severe thunderstorm is a dangerous storm with strong winds, large hail, heavy rain, or even tornadoes. So it doesn't have all of those things. And this is another thing that has started to happen here in Ontario, Canada, and around the world more often, I think. Quite often they'll say severe thunderstorms this evening. They're forecasting severe thunderstorms, winds up to 100 kilometers an hour, or possibly, or hail possible. So hail is when the raindrops freeze on the way down, and they turn into little balls of frozen water. Hopefully they're not that big, by the way. Hopefully they're just little tiny ones. But anyways, a severe thunderstorm is not nice. There's usually a lot of thunder and a lot of lightning. There could be hail. There's usually high winds, and then lots and lots of rain. And then sometimes a tornado, which is, we sometimes call it a twister. We don't experience those in my part of Ontario, Canada, but if you go west, they do happen from time to time. So severe thunderstorm, a dangerous storm with strong winds, large hail, heavy rain, or even tornadoes. Blustery, windy with strong changing gusts of wind. So a couple words here. Blustery means it's windy. So when you walk outside, you probably have to lean into the wind.
kind of have
But
to lean
blustery
to the
also
wind.
means the wind,
Blustery also
in
means
my
the wind,
opinion, changes direction and speed quite rapidly. So as you're walking, the wind is blowing here, and then it's blowing here, and then here. And it's like when you walk between a building, the wind hits you from a different direction. And then you might be walking in the wind, and then it stops for a little bit, and you walk some more, and it stops. So blustery, windy with strong, changing gusts of wind. Gale force winds. Here we go. Very strong winds that can damage trees, buildings, and power lines. So if you hear on the news that there's a storm coming and there are going to be gale force winds, you need to prepare. Here's what I do if they say gale force winds, which are probably winds above 100 kilometers an hour. I'm not a weather.
I'm not a weather.
Sorry, what is it? I'm not a meteorologist. So don't quote me on it. Here's what Jen and I would do. We would make sure we have gas for the generator in case the power goes out. Now I would charge my solar battery pack so that we have power. So if my solar system batteries are at 50%, I would start bringing them up to 100% in case the power went out. We would make sure, did I say this, that we had gas for the generator. We would make sure we knew where our extension cords were, and we would make sure on the farm that there was nothing outside that could blow away, okay? And then we would just wait for the storm to come. And it would not be super enjoyable. I do like a good storm. I don't like a storm with gale force winds. Muggy, warm and very humid, making the air feel sticky and uncomfortable. So I think I've taught this word before, and when I teach this word, I always say, years ago, I went on a trip to South Africa, and the weather, the temperature was in the high 30s every day, but it wasn't muggy, and it was actually not that bad. When the air is muggy and it's 36 degrees, it feels much warmer. And here's why. When there's a lot of moisture in the air, when the air is warm and very humid, it makes the air feel sticky and uncomfortable. Because when you sweat, your sweat doesn't evaporate as quickly. At least I think that's why it feels that way. And it just feels like you have a blanket on. If you've ever experienced humid, muggy weather, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like going outside and it's 35 degrees, and then it feels like you have a blanket of air on you, making you even warmer. So muggy, warm, and very humid, making the air feel sticky and uncomfortable. Not nice. Here in Ontario, it's always humid and always muggy in the summer. That's just part of the weather. In South Africa, it was great. I really liked it. UV index. Let me get this as big as possible. How strong the sun's ultraviolet rays are and how quickly they can damage your skin. So you can see here, this is the weather forecast for today. 28 degrees, not too bad. Chance of showers, sunny becoming a mix of sun and clouds in the afternoon, high 28, humidex 31. So there you see humidex. So it will feel like 31. UV index 9 or very high. So today would not be a good day for me with my fair skin to go outside without suntan lotion on. If I went outside today for a long period of time, it would be important for me to wear a hat. I would probably wear a long sleeve, thin fabric shirt to protect myself from the UV rays. But UV index, how strong the sun's ultraviolet rays are and how quickly they can damage your skin. Sub-zero. So we're moving into more winter-type terms now. So sub-zero, below 0 degrees Celsius. Sub-zero, also a character, I believe, from Mortal Kombat, whose move is to freeze people. This is my Mortal Kombat move. We also sometimes just say below zero. So you might hear something like this on the weather. Next week, we will experience sub-zero temperatures. Now, this is in Celsius, so I don't know what they say in the U.S. They probably say freezing temperatures in the U.S., but sometimes in Canada, you'll hear sub-zero, or you'll hear freezing temperatures, or below freezing. So it's cold. The thermometer is going down. Let's say it's 1 degree, and you're watching the weather, and they might say, Next week, we are going to
go
experience sub-zero temperatures. It's going to be very,
very,
very
cold.
Whiteout.
Whiteout.
A weather
condition.
Whiteout. A weather condition where blowing snow makes it almost impossible to see. We almost always use this word when we're talking about driving conditions in the winter. It can be used to just describe winter weather in general, but usually you'll hear things like this. Be cautious on your drive to work. There are whiteouts. Or there are whiteout conditions. Meaning that it's snowing, but there's also snow getting picked up by the wind and blowing. And it just makes it very, very difficult to see. This picture, in my opinion, doesn't accurately describe it. If these were whiteout conditions, you would only see one yellow pole. You probably wouldn't see the other ones. It is not very enjoyable to drive when there is, like when you're driving in a whiteout, it's very, very scary because if you keep going, you might not be able to see the road, you might hit somebody. You can't stop because someone behind you might hit you. So it's very, very dangerous in that situation. Squall.